What's up, Holy Ship family? It's your girl Celeste. Signed by Celeste is my notary name, and welcome to my channel. Guess what, y'all? I made it to my 2-year anniversary. So I'm super excited to give you an update as to what the store's been up to and how we're doing 2 years after our grand opening. Our grand opening was July 1st of 2024, and I'm so super excited that this is already July 1st of 2026 because there's nothing like beating the odds. Firstly, let me just say the store is doing increasingly well. So I don't have any negative news to report. So you don't have to wait to the end to find out if I made it, if I'm closing, or if I'm going to stay. I am here to stay. So I just want to talk a little bit about how we're doing 2 years later. As a lot of us may know, that if you start this business, you have to be willing to sacrifice a lot of your time. This business doesn't generally allow you to hire someone off the bat. Technically speaking, most people that start this business are owner-operators. Let me explain what the owner-operator means. Owner-operator means you are purchasing a business that you know you have to actually work in. So you are going to operate that business until it can function on its own. So as the owner, I have committed to make sure that I'm here to run the operations. Even if I have any assistance at all, I still have to be here majority of the time. So if it's 75-25 or 80-20 or 60-40, I'm still an owner operator. I've always been a part of Package Hub. So Holy Ship has gotten into Happy Returns. We got into FedEx Returns, or they're called FedEx Easy Returns. And we also do another option called Vinted. Package Hub has nothing to do with the Vinted. That is another stream of income that I added, shipping related. So let's talk about the things that we've added one by one. First thing we added was FedEx Returns through Package Hub. So I don't believe that stores that are not a part of Package Hub have that FedEx Returns capability. The Easy Return, which is where you scan a QR code when a customer comes in. They have a QR code that allows you to print a label for their package to go back. It's called a FedEx Easy Return, and you get paid a percentage, or like 75 cents. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's a menial amount of money, but it's supposed to bring people through your door. So of course it's a way to get foot traffic. But it takes a few seconds. You scan the QR code, it prints a label, you take their package, and you're done. They have since also added something called Happy Returns, which has nothing to do with FedEx specifically. And as a matter of fact, I believe the label that prints to ship the consolidated packages is actually through UPS. So Happy Returns is connected to UPS, I believe. And it allows you to scan a customer's return. However, you have to scan each individual item's barcode or determine what that item is and do the actual return in order to get that customer and basically instant gratification. They get a email / notification that their return has been submitted once you've scanned all items that they've purchased and decided to return, and you have successfully uploaded all of those barcodes or figured out which item they are and completed the return. So as soon as you hit complete or submit, it basically gives them the start of their return. They don't have to wait for the package to get back to the warehouse and all of the other rigmarole that people would have to go through in order to make a return. So they love it, and they actually, that is through several different companies. I've seen Skims, I've seen Sheen, or Shein, however you want to say it. I've seen even Temu. So there's lots of returns, but I think Temu might be connected to UPS. So don't quote me, but a lot of the locations where you would shop online, like Shapement and places like that, you can now return those items at a place like ours, and we get a small percentage as if we were scanning, packages that are getting dropped off that are similar to the drop off, and then you get a small percentage when you consolidate those packages. I will talk a little bit more about my take on Happy Returns and FedEx returns, because I do think that I've seen that some people are, having questions about the cost and whether it's worth it and things like that. So let me talk about that. For me, Happy Returns have been worth it because it's definitely brought people through my doors. And as you can see, like, I have sweatshirts hanging in the background. I do sell things in my gifts shop areas. And so I do have things that people would be interested in purchasing if they stop in here. So foot traffic is very important to me because it means that somebody might come in and see something that they like and purchase it. And that happens quite often here, the way that we have our setup. So if you want foot traffic and you don't mind that there might be a lot of foot traffic coming through your door, for a guaranteed 50, 75 cents, whatever the case may be, and then a consolidation fee for Happy Returns, or FedEx Easy Returns, then, it's worth it. For me, it's been worth it overall. However, some people have one item to return, and then you might spend more time with someone who has 10 items to return or 5 to 6 items to return. So you have to make the judgment of whether or not that amount of change that you're getting for the actual transaction is worth the potential acquisition of you gaining a customer and making them a client that's long-term, or somebody who at least comes back as a repeat customer. So the decision is based on what you have in there. If you only have shipping store stuff in your location, and you either have an employee that you have to pay to gather those 50-cent transactions or 75-cent transactions, or you basically don't think there's a way for you to convert them into a client, then it might not be worth it to you to have that kind of traffic for that amount of money, because it takes 50 packages. If it's 50 cents, it's going to take 50 packages for you to make $25. And if somebody is making $18 to $20 an hour to work for you, then, if they're there 6 to 8 hours and you're making, $25 by them dealing with 50 people, that may not be so worth it. But if you can convert that person that's coming through the door, or even 10% of them, say 50 of them are coming through the door, and you can convert 10% of them, that's 5 people. Even if 30 of them are coming through the door, 10% of them is 3 people. If you can convert 3 customers to become clients, would that be worth it? It would for me, because I know they'll be back over and over again, as my clients have. So you have to make that decision, and it would definitely be based on what makes sense for your setup. I talked a little bit about Happy Returns. FedEx returns are very similar. When I think about the consolidation part of it, that's where our cost comes in. They want you to have clear poly bags for the Happy Returns and for FedEx returns. Well, FedEx returns, you can just put a label on, but for the like if they have a small package, or if they came in a poly bag. And honestly, I will tell you all, if they come in a poly bag and you can, safely and, distinctly package them in a way in which they can be identified as the same return that they're, the return that they're supposed to be with, if it's 2 poly bags, I can't tell you what to do with them, but I do reuse things. So if you are capable of reusing things safely where they can definitely distinguish, you know, that this is the happy return that goes, these items go with this happy return, these items go with this FedEx return, then I would say be wise. Definitely be wise. And then it says that you can only use an 18 by 18 by 18 box. Sometimes you don't get that many returns. Sometimes you get too many returns for, you know, I don't ever go over the 18 by 18 by 18, but I do what works best with the amount of returns that I have, because that's all you can do. They don't want you to keep them longer than 7 days, and they don't want you to overpack a box or give them to something too heavy, and they don't want you printing out 5 labels for 5 very tiny boxes. So just make the best decision to pack as much as you can in the size boxes that you have available. And what I typically do is use boxes that are from repurposed boxes from Amazon, repurposed boxes from whatever the clients may have with them. You know, they want to leave them anyways. So I go ahead and reuse those. So that's my advice there, because it shouldn't cost you in order to acquire 50 to 90 cents. Okay. So that's my 2 cents on that. Now, as I stated, and I'm probably going to keep stating because I'm very excited, it is my 2-year anniversary for Holy Ship. Yay. I'm so happy to still be excited about this business. I am still excited about this business. If you were wondering, I do not have any gripes, in the sense that I created the environment that I wanted my next business to be. I will say this. I've had maybe 5 days in total over the entire 2 years where I questioned, did I create myself a job? And is that what I was going for? And how long will this be a job for me? And I had to answer myself. So whether you think it's crazy to talk to yourself about things like this, I definitely felt like I needed to ask myself, who made the decision to start this business, did I create myself a job? The answer is actually yes. I did create a job. I thought that it would be simple for me to move into this business that was going to be about mailboxes and scanning mail and things like that. That turned into so much more for me. And I will say I am specifically the glue that holds this business together, while I'm creating a model that will be able to be taken over by someone else. So yes, I did create myself a job. In the meantime, though, I'm creating a business that will be sustainable without me. But right now, all of the clients that I have are so familiar with my process that I definitely have to be very careful when I transition into having someone else run the business more frequently than I'm here. Okay. So I like to touch on points that maybe people who are in this industry understand, but also people looking to get into this industry would want to know. And so if you are new to this shipping world, where shipping centers look appealing and they look like they can garner a lot of business, and that it might not be too difficult, all of those things are true, but it does take time. And I think I might even go over some of the numbers in the very next video. I'll do a little bit here, but I'll go into more detail maybe in the next video. But if you are interested in starting this business, I have 2 things to say about that. It's a great business to start. It is a business that can be very beneficial to both yourself and your clients. And it also is a business that you can do without having initial, a very specific skill set. You can learn this skill set over time and grow with this business and grow into this business. It is amazing if you come in with some graphics knowledge. It is amazing if you come in with technical knowledge, because you're going to be the only person in here that is able to fix your problems when it comes to the computers, the printers, and things like that. Like, yes, we have software help. Couldn't get that out. Software help if we run into issues and we have Postal Mate, or we run into issues and we have Photo Zoomer, and we run into issues and we have, there's tech support with all companies like Canon and whatever printers you may have. Epson has, tech support. So there is that kind of help, but hands-on right there while you're with the customer and you're trying to figure out a problem that you are actually running into it at like real time, it's you. So having knowledge and a little bit of technical knowledge, a little bit of technical capability is a plus. It's not necessary if you're gonna just call somebody and just pass on the job and wait, or you have clients that are very understanding and they will wait for you. That's great, but sometimes we have to get our hands dirty and dig in there and figure it out, because we need this thing and we need it now. So having that sort of perseverance is very important in this business, because most of the time we work alone. So I wanted to say that about this business, because it's not passive. So you hear that all the time. It's not a passive business. It's not a get rich quick scheme. It definitely took time to build this business even to a sustainable level. And so just know that if you're looking to get into something and you want it to be either quick or you want it to be something that you can pass along and just let somebody else take care of, this may not be that business. That was the first thing I wanted to say about it. Second thing I want to say about it is that I have some successful students who have found me either on this channel or through other channels or other avenues, or have come into my store. I actually had some people come in and visit me first, and then, decide that they either wanted to first pick my brain and then sign up for mentorship and so on and so forth. And a few of you who have reached out via either YouTube or TikTok have signed up as students and opened your stores. So I want to say congratulations to my students who have opened their stores. It's been such a pleasure to mentor and guide you through it, and I'm glad that I could save you some of the headache, some of the finance that was unnecessary, and some of the just give you tips and tricks to the trade. So if there is anybody out there that is interested in getting through this thing with kind of, having your hand held, I know a lot of people don't want to do that. If you need somebody to do that where it's not a $30,000 mentorship program, I'm your girl. All right, so I just needed to say that and give a shout out to my students. I will leave them nameless at this moment, but if you decide that you want to join our school community, a couple of them are mentioned there. And then also some of them who wanted to remain anonymous. I do have to respect everyone's privacy, but I am super proud no matter what, whether, they want to share their experiences or don't. I'm just very proud of the levels that they've been able to reach, and that they were able to do it without so many bumps in the road. So that's that on that. And yeah, let me know. I'm here. And lastly, not lastly, this episode doesn't have to end this quickly, because I did want to go over some numbers. I will do the full layout where I can edit it and show you exactly what I made through FieldPrint, exactly what I made through iPostal and mailboxes and Anytime Mailbox. I never used PostScan Mail, but I am reaching out to them just to see if there's anybody in my area that might want to, might be looking for a place in this area. I'm not positive. And then there were a couple other things that I was going to reach out to be able to add, but so the things that I've added so far to this business since the last video would be happy returns, easy returns, Vinted Go, which is where you can decide that your shop will allow people who have a a selling space on their app to drop their packages off. and you get a small commission for allowing them to drop the package off there. And then SpeedX or Better Trucks in my area, I'm not sure if that's the only places that they use, because you can also use USPS, but SpeedX, Better Trucks, or USPS will come and get those packages, and you get a small commission, not from the USPS. USPS is still not messing with us like that. They still want us to do everything for free, and I still do it for free with a smile on my face in order to accommodate my customers. So that is something, as y'all can see, I was using golden hour to make this video, so I'm running short because the sun is now going down. But let me hurry up and get through this while I can, and maybe I can adjust just a little. But anyway, if you are able to do, if you have space in your location, I would advise Vinted Go. You know, I can't endorse their company specifically, but I definitely have not seen any negative transactions occur from my store. I've had nothing but great foot traffic, good drivers for my pickups. You know, you want to be very careful about how you handle Vinted Go, because they have, you know, they give you 2 bags. You scan the person's package, you scan a bag that is supposed to go in, and then the driver should know what they're picking up based on those bags. Well, if you accidentally scan the bags for the wrong bag, for the wrong package, or the wrong carrier, then those bags are no longer any good. So if you've dealt with Vinted Go and you're familiar, and you scan their bags, or you're just getting started, be very careful how you scan their bags. They usually give you 2 colors of the bags, and one is meant for one of the carriers that picks up, the other one is meant for the other carrier that picks up. So make sure if you get a SpeedX package, you always scan the 1 color bag with that SpeedX package, because if you accidentally scan, you know, the other carrier's bag, then that bag is then deemed no longer a good bag. So you can't get past that. They haven't figured out how to make that part work for anybody, as far as I know. So you just have to order another bag. And unfortunately, they have told me that they're short on bags. So it's gonna be a while before you get a bag. And there is a way to get around that. So don't feel stuck. Don't feel like you can't take that person's package. What you want to do, and I'm just giving my own advice because I had to work through it myself, and I had turned someone away because I didn't know how to do it and couldn't get them, get a hold of them quick enough. So I let that person go, but then figured it out. What you have to do is accept it and keep it without the bag. Say no bag available. Say yes, you know, make sure their label is attached to the package. If the label's attached, say yes, the label's attached. And then when it asks you, you know, scan a bag, you press scan bag, but if there's no bag for you to scan, you say no bag, and keep the parcel without the bag, and it will allow you to do that. But you have to then keep track of those packages, because they're not gonna keep the same kind of track that they would normally of the packages that are not in a bag. So be very careful, make sure you're doing your due diligence and not just giving a driver that you've never seen before all of the packages, even if it's, you know, not showing in a bag, because I've had that happen, and unfortunately that can cause issues. So I would advise against that, but I'm not the rule of, you know, the ruler of all Vinted Go. So just my advice. Was there anything else that I can tell you guys? Nothing else about Vinted Go, except you're gonna get a small commission. You're gonna meet some great people who are very excited to sell. I encourage you to encourage them about selling, because then they will kind of value your location a little more than any place else that they might go drop off, who doesn't care that they made a sale, who doesn't care that they're becoming a small entrepreneur, who doesn't care that this might be their first sale. So I acknowledge that for all of my clients, and they seem to appreciate that. And I think it's just another way to set myself apart and make it so that, you know, even though they may have had to drive, because Vinted Go is fairly new in this area, they started in the UK and they just came over here a few months ago. And so I was one of the first stores in this area to start. And so for a while, there were people coming from everywhere to drop these packages off because there weren't other shops accepting Vinted Go in their locations. So as it becomes more popular and catches on, there'll be plenty of places for them to go. But if they started with me and I made an impression, they will come back here, even if it's an extra mile, you know? So just always go the extra mile. I guess that's the lesson, because it makes you memorable. And being memorable can help you get to your 2-year anniversary. So I just wanted to have this episode be a celebration of my 2 years in business, to give me a brief reintroduction to the page, because the last video that I posted may have been recorded in sometime in October, November, or December, and maybe not even posted until January or February this year. And I haven't made another video in quite some time. So I'm super excited to make this video, super excited to still be in business. I love Holy Ship. It has evolved so much, and there's so much I could tell you about all of the character it has, but it's not related to shipping so much. So I don't want to, steer too far away from what the actual location, foundation is. But I will tell you this. I do more creative events here than shipping. And that's the honest to God truth. And it's the only thing that, it's the honest truth. And it's not that I don't want to do more shipping. I would love to, but people are holding on to their money. They're very cautious about who they spend with. And a lot of times, you can't necessarily beat the rates that they can get at home. And if they're shipping USPS and don't care about the times or the dates for something going somewhere, then they're not necessarily veering to the UPS or FedEx. And so if they do veer towards those, then I'm competitive. But otherwise, they're going to ship from home, and I'm okay. I'm going to welcome their packages, whether they have they're pre-labeled and they don't pay me anything. And the reason I do that is because they then understand I'm willing to help them regardless of what I get from it. It's not about what I receive. Even though in business, of course, that doesn't sound smart. It's not about what I receive. It is not about what I receive immediately. It's about the rapport that we build. It's about the relationship we build. It's about the fact that they're going to think about me when they do need to use FedEx or UPS, and they're not going to even consider going anywhere else because I've been so kind when it comes to them dropping off USPS packages that they've eventually figured out, because they ask me if they bring 10 to 20 packages, they want to know if I'm getting something because I'm dealing with all of these packages. And, when I politely respond that I'm doing it for their convenience, they still understand that some of them have actually decided to shy away and go straight to the post office because they don't want me to work that hard for, no funds. However, lots of them have just become more in tune with the fact that we were respecting one another, and that they would prefer to make sure that if there is something else that they're looking to do that I can provide, that they come to me for that. So that is all that I'm going to say about any of this today, because I just wanted to make sure I connected with you guys to give you an episode, and I'm going to give you some more because I have so many things going on. I've made some discoveries. If I have any entrepreneurs that are that have that certain superpower where they're a creative and they always want to get into the next thing, I'm once again your girl. So I am going to let this go here. And if there's anything I can add from any of the things that I've been doing, I will add those into this episode. But I just wanted to check in with you guys and see how you're all doing, and let you know that Holy Ship is doing well and that we've made it to our 2 years. Some things are changing. Our rent is increasing. That's one of the things that is actually going to change in these 2 years. So we are 1 year away from our end of the lease where I get a chance to renegotiate, which is something that I have had discussions about with my students. I will get to negotiate a lease again if I decide to stay. So that is something that I like to go over with my students when they are going to acquire a property, how to negotiate it, what you should be looking for, what you should accept and not accept, what kinds of things you should be asking for as a concession. So all of that is a part of my mentorship program. It's also a part of what I'm going to put together as individual classes for people who don't have time to do a 6-week mentorship. They don't have time for you to hold their hand while they get this business going, but they want to be able to reach out and just ask a question here and there. I will be available for that based on time. I am a person that is willing to share some knowledge without, you being obligated to be a student of mine, but I also can't spend a whole lot of time trying to get you through this process because it's a very lengthy process in the sense that there's a lot to know if you want to avoid certain pitfalls. So I can't just get you through the process without any sort of, compensation for my time. However, if you want to reach out and you just want to, have a small session or something where you are, at a certain stage in your startup that you just want to make sure you're making the right decision, feel free to reach out to me because I am definitely, number one, I'm a girl's girl. Number two, I'm a serial entrepreneur and I'm an entrepreneur lover. So all of the things that make it so that you're excited about starting a business excite me. And I'm here to help. So I hope I've at least said something that helped anybody figure out whether or not they want to get into Happy Returns or FedEx Returns, or, if they want to look further into starting this business, or if they have questions about my last few videos or anything. I hope that I've at least sparked your interest and got you on the path to going back down that rabbit hole to figure out if this is what you want to do in life, because it's a journey, but it's an amazing one, and I wouldn't have wanted to do anything else 2 years ago. So I'm very grateful that I started this business, and I'm very grateful to still be in it. And my store is profitable. So that answers a part of the question of whether or not you should do it or shouldn't do it, because I was funding this business with one of my other businesses before it became profitable. So I have a good gauge of, at least out in this area, how long it takes to become profitable. I have a good gauge about how long it takes to be profitable with some of my students' data now as well. So I'm excited to learn more about what you all are doing. Please comment below if you're a store owner, if you're interested in opening a store, if you learned anything from this video. Please like and subscribe. Holy Ship and Print is in business and for 2 full years, baby. And I'm Celeste. Signed by Celeste is my notary name, and I will catch you all on the next episode.